Okay, now that we've done section 1.1, we're going to move on to section 1.2, which is about lines, right? And that's why we've got this nice grid paper here, so that we can actually draw some lines on it. And the most important thing about lines is slope. And there's 4 types of lines, depending on what kind of slope they have. So here's my x-axis and my y-axis, x, y. Don't know what that is, but erase that. And that's a y up there. So there's 4 types of slope. You could have a line with a positive slope that goes up from left to right, positive slope. You have lines with negative slope. You go down from left to right, so that's a negative slope. You have lines with 0 slope, and that's like that. These are also called horizontal lines because they're horizontal. And you can have lines with an undefined slope, like this. So it's an undefined slope, also called a vertical line, for obvious reasons. Right? You could call this, some people call it infinite slope. That's kind of a misuse of the concept of infinity. Technically, it's an undefined slope. So really 4 types of lines, right? Lines going up, positive slope. Lines going down, negative slope. Horizontal lines have 0 slope. Vertical lines have an undefined slope. Okay. So those are the pictures. What are the equations that go with lines? Well, there's 3 types of equations, and they all have their uses, and I'm going to do sort of one short video for each one. First one is y equals mx plus b, also known as the slope-intercept equation, or the slope-intercept form. There's y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1, also called the point slope form. And then there's ax plus by equals c, and this is an x, and this is called the standard form. And they all have their uses, and you see them in different places depending on what you're doing. We'll start with the slope-intercept form, and we'll do little short videos on the other 2, and it's will be the next sort of set of videos. So y equals mx plus b. This is your slope. This is something called the y-intercept. And that's why it's called the slope-intercept form, right? Because it tells you explicitly what the slope and the y-intercept is. So what is the slope? What is the y-intercept? Well, let's look at an example. Examples are often the easiest way to see things. Suppose we have y equals 3/2 x plus 5. So here our slope is 3/2. Slope is usually called m, and our y-intercept that's p there, is b equals 5. Okay, so if we graph this, there's my y-axis, there's my x-axis, right? What does the slope and the y-intercept tell you? The y-intercept is where you cross the y-axis. So you cross the y-axis at y equals 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 1 point on the line. Great. Of course, you need 2 points on the line to be able to graph it, so we need to be able to find another point somehow. And that's what the slope tells us. The slope, usually we'll learn it as rise over run, and the rise is up and down, and the run is left and right. So if my slope is 3/2, what does that tell me about my line? Well, it's a positive slope line, so it's got to be going up from left to right. And every 2 units I go to the right, I have to go up 3 units. So I go 2 units to the right, and then I have to go up 3. And that gives me another point on the line. And this point has x coordinate 2 and y coordinate 8 because we started here. 2 to the right, and that gives me x equals 2, and then 3 more to the 5 I already got, that gives me 8. And now I can sketch in my line. It looks like that. So that's the line that I want. So there's our sketch of the line. One important point on any line is where it crosses the x-axis, and that's called the x-intercept. The 5 here is the y-intercept. That's where you cross the y-axis. So what is the x-intercept? So to find x-intercept, well, the x-intercept is the point on the line where the y-coordinate is 0. You're just sitting on the x-axis. So we set y equal to 0 and solve for x. So we get 0 equals 3 halves x plus 5. That's just taking this equation up here, setting y equal to 0, and then solving for x. And now this is a linear equation like we did in the last section. We'll subtract a 5 from both sides. Minus 5 equals 3 halves x. Now to get rid of that 3 halves, what do we have to do? Well, to get rid of the 2 in the denominator, we have to multiply by 2 on both sides. To get rid of 3 in the numerator in the top, we have to divide both sides by 3. So to get rid of the 3 halves, you multiply by 2/3. And then that cancels these 2, that cancels these 3. I'm left with just an x on the side. Minus 5 times 2 is minus 10 over 3. So there's my x-intercept. Minus 10 over 3. That's pretty much all the information you can get about a line, right? We know its slope, we know its x-intercept, we know its y-intercept. So the y equals mx plus b form is often very useful because it's pretty straightforward. Another example, for a line whose slope is 7 and whose y-intercept, oh, sorry, make that minus 7, y-intercept is 2. Equation, find an equation, sketch it, and find the x-intercept. Well, the equation is easy, right? Y equals mx plus b. Here, they tell us explicitly m is minus 7 and b is 2. So y equals minus 7x plus 2. Slope, minus 7 equals, well, we can always write any integer as minus 7 over 1. And what does this mean for me? It means every 1 unit to the right, that's the denominator, that's my right-left part, go 7 units down. That's the minus 7. So, sketching it, pretty straightforward now. We put in an x-axis and a y-axis, except I always seem to put in the y-axis first. X-axis, y-axis. Y-intercept is 2. And then every 1 unit to the right, go 7 units down. So if we go 1 unit to the right and then 7 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we end up down here. And that is minus 5. So this point is on the line. It's the point x equals 1, y equals minus 5, because its x-coordinate is 1, and its y-coordinate is minus 5, and it's a point on the line, so we just draw a line. A little bit of a curvy line here, but that's okay. We're just sketching graphs here. We're not, this isn't art class. We're trying to be really precise about things. So, there's our slope. There's our sketch of the line. What's the x-intercept? Where does it cross the x-axis? Well, x-intercept, set y equal to 0, solve for x. So, 0 equals minus 7x plus 2. We just set this y here equal to 0 and then solve this for x. We'll add a 7x to both sides and then divide. And so that's x equals 2/7. That's my x-intercept. So, and again, that's pretty much all you need to know about a line. So y equals mx plus b, very useful formula, slope, y-intercept. We'll see how to calculate the slope in the next video.